Welcome to the Agents of the Unexplained. Grab your gear and let's journey into the mysterious world of cryptids and the paranormal. Get ready for an adventure into the unknown. Listen carefully as you are guided through the unexplained and cryptid phenomena that challenge our understanding of reality. Here is your host, Bill Rigby.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Now, I am really super stoked for tonight. I got Mr. William Nighthawk. He is awesome. He knows a lot about the Bigfoot, the dog, a lot of everything. I've heard a lot about him before I got to meet him, and I just can't wait, So let me bring him in. Hello, sir.
How we doing, Bill?
Mean, rotten, and grumpy. Other than that, just great.
Well, I can deal with that part of it. So, I see we already got a person in the chat there that is getting out of control.
Yes, my troll at that. He goes, I should be Big Brother's agent.
Yeah, actually, Ryan, you could be.
Yes, you could be. Yes, he could. Ryan's a hell of a good dude. The running joke is he's here just to troll me. It's like, oh,
Ryan's
God.
good.
Yes, he is.
And I'll tell you what, Ryan's one to carry on my work, that's for sure. I recommend him to everybody.
So do I.
Even more than he recommends me, to tell you the truth, because it's people like Ryan that, that First Nation people like myself can go to and actually talk about things and the way we were raised and what our beliefs were in certain things, especially the cryptid and the paranormal stuff. My hat's off to the young man. He's a hell of a young man. He really is.
Yes, he is. And I've had him on my show 3 times, and I can honestly say I learned something each time from him.
And you still got all your subscribers.
Almost. Yes, and right here. He's bragging you up.
Oh, see.
But as you said, he can carry on with your teachings of the Bigfoot and cryptids and all that. So,
all right,
let's head that way.
All righty. Well, I don't know if you want me to explain a little bit about my background first, but
yes. Go ahead.
All righty. Well, I was basically born and raised in a paranormally charged property and a haunted house. So at the age of 3, I was chestnut picking with my sister, my older sister. And I was 3 years old at the time. And I remember, reaching up in a tree and pulling the spiny, chestnuts off and opening them up. And you know how you harvest the chestnuts,
right.
And, we'd eat one and pick one, eat one, pick one, how kids are. And anyways, the next thing I know, I was laying on the ground, and there had been a teenager and a pre-teenager that were basically bullies in the neighborhood, and had proceeded to kick me almost to death. I had a near-death experience at the age of 3. And after that, my mother, who I didn't know at the time, being 3 years old, I knew there was weird things that happened around the house and the property. But at the time, I had no idea she was a black witch, and she was of the Cherokee and the Shawnee Nation. And she swore right then and there, after I got out of the hospital, that I would never have to fear people again.
Right.
And being a child, you don't understand what that can say, to
Right.
somebody, But anyways, there was, for the longest time, she started teaching me the dark arts, the Native American dark arts. And up until the age of about 13, 14, until I learned how to do it basically on my own and do my own ceremonies when I needed to. After that, it was, you know, after high school, it was the military, and I was trying to get my life together. And, but before all that, before joining the military, I had all kinds of cryptid experience, shadow people, all kinds of like lights in the sky and orbs, all kinds of weird stuff happening around our property. And I had my first face-to-face Bigfoot encounter. I used to hear them a lot, around the
Right.
property, because you could hear them howl and you can hear them whoop and all that, and you can hear them growl. So we always knew. My father always told me at the kitchen table, he would tell me the old legends and stuff of the hairy man and Big Brother. Big Elder Brother is what he called him. So I started calling him Big Elder Brother too. But I can honestly say I haven't had any really bad experiences with them.
Right.
My first
Wait a
time,
minute. Wait a minute. Let me. Even though I shouldn't ask you any questions going through here, as Ryan said, but when you said face to face, how close were you?
I was within about 50 feet.
That's close.
Yeah.
Because mine was 15, and that was way too close.
Yeah, I could honestly say the first one I saw in a profile standing up, okay, and it was reaching up in the tree, and the branch on a tree was like 9 feet off the ground, and I was 12 years old, and where we were riding motocross bikes, the dirt bikes and stuff. I had a KZ 125 at the time, and we were just tooling around this big open field. And on the edge of the field on three sides was nothing but forest. And on the one edge of the field where the forest was, there was a row of wild grapes that grew there. Wow. And we had always picked wild grapes there, not knowing that they were right on the opposite side of the grape wall, because so green and thick. We never really figured, that we always thought it was somebody else that was human that was standing there.
Right.
But after a while, we figured out that when we were there picking grapes, they were there not even 10 feet from us on the other side of the thick grape greenery, So, but that's another story. Anyways, we're tooling around on the dirt bikes and stuff. And something told me to stop and get off the motorcycle and look down the tree line. So I stopped the motorcycle and I get off and I shut the fuel off. And as I reach down to shut the fuel off, I'm still sitting on the bike. I leaned over like this to look down the tree line, because the tree line was very straight. And the path that we came in on was about 6 feet across.
Okay.
And it was tree lined on both sides. Okay. There was probably maybe a 6-foot area on the edge of the field that was trees, and then it was the path going to where we came from, and then it was nothing but forest. Okay.
Right.
So anyways, I'm looking down there and I see this big, dark, hairy thing standing there profile towards me with its arms up in the tree, and there was something dark up in the tree. And I'm thinking to myself, because I'd never seen it before, but I knew there were stories of it and legends of it because of my father. And I couldn't even fathom what I saw, to tell you the truth. It didn't scare me. It just basically made me aware that it was there, and then I saw what was up in the branch, and it grabbed whatever was up in the branch, which was dark like it was, but small. and turned and walked away into the woods, into the wood line.
Oh, wow.
I'm standing there and I'm thinking to myself, I couldn't even think, it was a female, because
Right.
I didn't really, you don't really look for those things when you're a kid,
Yeah.
As quickly as it turned and went into the woods, it was like one step in the 6 foot path area and it was gone. One step, I mean, and it was quick and it was quiet. And I was thinking to myself, I'm not hearing any twigs breaking, any branches breaking, and I knew damn well that when I walked into the woods, unless I was hunting or something as a kid, I was crunching on branches and leaves and making all kinds of noise.
Yeah.
And I was amazed at how quiet this thing was. And even my two buddies that were with me on their motorcycles were like, they couldn't fathom what they saw. So we basically got on our motorcycles and we headed out of there, and we didn't really want to go down that path that we came in at because that's where it was. But we finally rustled up the courage to go down this path. And anyways, I get down this path and I stopped my motorcycle. Now, my bike was probably, I don't know exactly how far the seat was off the ground, but I'm sure it was every bit of 3 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, at least, at the very least.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I did is I had them hold my motorcycle up straight while I stood on the seat to try and reach the branch that it was on. And I couldn't reach the branch. I was 12 years old. I was a pre-teenager, and I was standing on the motorcycle seat, and that still didn't make me tall enough to reach the branch that this thing was messing with, whatever it was up there, which I think was a baby. It might have been its baby or something. But that was the first experience that we had. And ironically, we got shouted at by somebody else that was back in the wood line, which basically, I guess it was his property we were on, God forbid, and he had called the law on us. And basically there was a motorcycle cop coming in to try and catch us. So we kind of got out of there awful quick and got out of there and went back to to my property and hid the bikes and stuff and watched the motorcycle cop coming out with the saddlebags falling off his bike and mud all over the place. And it was a disaster. It really was. It was funny to us at the time.
Yeah. Kids, we'd be laughing, but still wondering what the hell we just saw. Exactly.
But we needed that laugh,
Yeah.
So we laughed it up, and we pulled my dad aside, and all three of us told him, my dad that, and my dad, he was the kind of person that you didn't BS.
Right.
Okay. He was the original stoic native warrior. He had come out of World War II with altogether 4 Purple Hearts. So he was part of
a hell of a man. Hell of a man.
He was the middleweight boxing champion for the entire military during World War II. So, and he was a mechanic for General Patton's 4th Armored Division. And in fact, I got his book right here with I got all the original newspaper articles and stuff from World War II and everything here, and his boxing career. And Patton got to be good friends with my dad over the years in the military during World War II because General Patton used to bet on my dad, and he won a lot of money off my dad boxing. So
he gave him special treatment.
Exactly. And but yeah, it was really something when he used to tell me the tales and stuff that he had and the experiences with Patton, which would be a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
Because
believe me, from what I've heard, we're gonna need to do at least 10 podcasts.
But anyways,
he's laughing. I'm not joking.
To make a long story short, that was the first sighting that I had. And, like I said, I wasn't afraid of it. I have a very dear brother, David Lester. He might even be in the chat. I'm
I
not
think he
sure.
is.
But he had a 3D printer, and he did a bus or basically a form of what I saw, and this is what I saw. But imagine the arms up in the air, straight above its head,
Yes.
reaching up into a branch of a tree. But that is literally what I saw. Okay, it was literally that thin. Okay, which makes me think maybe it was a female. Okay, because it wasn't as big and bulky as the one I saw in my second sighting. Okay,
All right.
but this is a 3D cast of what he made for me, and then I'm going to show you the difference between the one that I had the second sighting with. This, when David gave this to me at the Bigfoot conference in Virginia a couple years ago, this really blew my mind. How exact he got it. And still to this day, I stare at it and I think to my God, I can't believe I saw this,
Okay. Yeah.
I was again riding dirt bikes with another buddy of mine, and we were around his place, and they have this place called the Gravel Pits. And we were riding the trail, and the trail went into the woods, went around about maybe a mile, and came back out into the woods into the gravel pits, and then you'd go up on jumps and stuff and all that, all the kids stuff, the kids would do. And this was probably a week to 10 days after my first sighting. Okay.
Right.
So this was all happened within like a 10-day span. And I went through on my fourth time around, because we would take turns. And as I came around the last turn inside the wood line, this branch, not a big branch, but a small enough one, but big enough to where it would cause problems, was thrown at the front tire of my motorcycle. And I was doing probably only maybe 20 miles an hour, so I didn't get hurt, but I did dump the bike over.
Right.
And as I was trying to get the bike off of my leg, which I burned my leg, I still got the dang burn on my leg from the exhaust. I looked up, and there in this tree was this same thing that I saw. This one was a male, okay,
Yeah.
but it was a little bigger, muscular than the one. And then something told me, Bill, look off to your left. So I looked off to my left side, and there was this monster standing there. That's the only way I could describe it. I had never seen anything that big in my life. It was every bit of 9 feet tall. It was every bit of about 4 foot wide at the shoulders.
Mhm.
And it was built bigger than, well, I don't know if anybody knows, back in those days, Lou Ferrigno played the Hulk.
Yes.
And this thing made Lou Ferrigno look puny. And Lou Ferrigno was 6'5" and 290 pounds. So this thing made him look skinny and small. And from my description to David, he made this other figure for me on a 3D printer, and this is what I saw.
Holy shit.
Now you compare the muscle mass, even the face. The face is even exactly as I remember it, because I don't know if you can see it. The face on this has the big nose, the flattened nose, the big eyes.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, and it had the skin color on its face was all. I almost want to call it like a grayish color.
Really?
Okay.
Huh.
And I don't know if it was because they were hunting, but that's why I figured out why he threw the branch at the motorcycle,
Right.
because I disturbed them hunting. And
say.
and that's the only bad time I've had with them. But yeah, this thing turned and walked away, and I saw its back, and that's exactly what the backside looked like.
Well,
to a T. Okay.
The one I saw that the face and everything is exactly like that one.
Yeah, I mean,
But
it's
that's scary. That set me back some. That's why I was looking up close, and I'm like,
yeah,
no way in
yeah.
hell. And mine was
David
in
did,
Ohio.
yeah, yeah. David he did a remarkable job on this. I just every time I look at that in this room, it's like it sends chills down my spine
Yes.
because that's you never get over something like that, no matter how old you are. That's
What?
imprinted in your brain,
Yeah. With all
because it,
honesty, too, Bill,
yeah,
is that the thing is, my sighting was 15 feet. It was knelt down as I was. I was scooping out down the trail, and out of the corner of my right eye, I saw a little bit of movement. And I turned and looked, and there it was, leaning in, looking at me. And yes,
so,
I'm looking for Bigfoot, but I did not expect to see it right there.
so you were actually looking for Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Now, see,
And
I'm sorry, guys. I got to have coffee.
yeah,
Everybody knows me.
that's
I've
the
got to have
noise you
my
guys
coffee.
heard in the beginning of the show was the coffee perk, and I knew that. And I was going to say I hear your
Yeah,
coffee, but I didn't.
yeah, yeah.
But the thing is,
Unfortunately, I have to drink it.
yeah,
But
but the
yeah,
thing is
you
15
were
feet.
actually 15 feet away, and you
Yeah,
saw it too.
yeah.
So you know that feeling.
Oh, hell yes. More than I
Yeah,
want. That was
yeah,
3 years ago.
yeah, yeah.
And,
This
but the
one,
thing is, this one was only 7 foot tall when it stood up because I
yeah.
seen about where it was on the tree.
This monster was just off the side of the trail that I was riding the
Oh,
motorcycle on.
Jesus.
So I was within 10 feet of him.
That one, I
So
would have shit my pants. I
I
almost did
almost
with this
did.
one.
I almost did because, what's funny about it is as I looked at him and I was trying to comprehend, from seeing the other one, as I looked at him in the face, he got this grin like, haha, I got you,
Yeah.
He had this little grin on his face and he just kind of gave me a huff and turned and walked away,
Uh,
like he was, done with me, and I
I
got
would have
on the
shit my
bike.
pants. I would
I
have.
got on the motorcycle and I ripped the hell out of there. And I went back and told my buddy. My buddy wanted to go back there, and I said, "Nope, not me.
Yeah.
I'm not going back there." And
Other ones, when we went back up to camp, other ones said, "Let's go check." No.
yeah,
We finally end up going about an hour, hour and a half later. We walked the trail. We didn't go off trail. But I kept myself in a circle of people.
mm-hmm.
And the next day we went back to look on that tree and measure up on the tree about how tall he was. And he was only
Mm-hmm.
around 7 foot.
Yeah,
But the thing is, I'm saying it was a teenager because I think he was counting coup. See how close he can get to me.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he was leaned in, his hand out in front of him.
Well, they have a curiosity. They have a
Oh, yeah.
curiosity that is there. There's two to three things that I found out that they love to hear, and that makes them curious. And the first one is human laughter, especially children. Children laughing. They love to hear children laughing. I don't know why. I mean, I know they're family oriented. They are family
Right.
oriented. And the way my father described it to me was that there was 4 distinct types of these Bigfoot out there. And I
heard
asked him,
that.
I said, well, where did they come from? And he goes, they've always been here.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, but they had to have come from somewhere. And my dad said, well, the legends state that they come out of the ground just like we did,
Yeah.
and I didn't never really bothered to question that, and then as the older I got, the more I was like, well, damn, there's so many caves around here, and so much hollow ground underneath our feet, from South Dakota to Virginia down into Alabama, I mean, and Georgia, it's nothing but cave systems, West Virginia, the whole area. So obviously that had to have been what my father meant.
Right.
So,
and I believe so too. The only thing I have a hard time understanding is the skunk ape down in Florida.
Well,
they might have been able to adapt once they moved down that way, migrated.
I might be able to help you with that one, because my father explained to me, and I'm not saying that I'm any Bigfoot expert by any ways and means. Okay, I'm just a Wachashawakan for my people, and I've lived a life that's been around a bunch of different cryptids and a bunch of paranormal and supernatural things. So I basically, have all that experience, but I don't go around claiming to be the expert, because there's really no expert in this area.
Ain't that the truth?
So,
I get tired hearing these ones say they were.
Yeah. And I mean, I've seen every type of footprint you can imagine, and I've experienced so much face-to-face interaction with them that I think that this family actually, the only way I can describe it, some people believe that they can follow you around wherever you go. And the only thing I can say to that theory is that basically I agree 150% with that, because I believe that they have the ability to imprint on somebody just like a wolf does.
I was thinking that. That's been.
So,
I've been.
And that's just a theory. I mean, that's just my own opinion, and I'm not saying that's factual, but from what interactions I have had with them, they have literally followed me everywhere I've gone. Okay. And I'm currently probably about 6.5 hours from the original sighting areas when I was 12 years old. So, and in fact, I'm not going to give the exact area, but,
of course not. I don't expect you to.
It's fairly close to Salamanca, New York.
Right.
So I just want to leave it at that. But I'm not going to give the exact location. But anyways, make a long story short, I mean, I do believe that they imprint on people, and when they have enough interaction with them, I think they have that ability, just like a wolf would.
Okay. He goes, do you think they imprint on our energies and vibration, or is it something else? Ryan asked.
I wish I knew. I mean, if they have the supernatural abilities that my ancestors have described over the thousands of years of dealing with them, and even the dog man, I would imagine it probably be our, I don't know if they can sense our aura or see our aura or our energy, but I would imagine it'd be something along that lines.
Right.
So, I mean, you hear about all these horror stories about how hunters go out in the woods and they're hunting, and how these things come after them and chase them out, and and act like they want to rip their heads off and all that. But they don't. They want their privacy just as much as any mountain folk want their privacy.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's,
those bluff charges is just to get them out of there, leave us alone.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And plus, it could be you just interrupted my hunt. Get the hell out.
That's what I learned from the second one. Yeah. But I didn't realize that until after, about a year later. I was thinking, well, there's a lot of deer there, and we do our hunting there too. So why wouldn't this thing be doing hunting there? And that's why the one was up in the tree as a bluff spot to really jump on the prey,
Yes. And I found I did an investigation over near Cortland, Ohio, and it I had to walk over 300 yards down a cornfield there the week of Christmas to go down this cornfield to get into the woods. Well, I got in there, and I had my shepherd with me. She was fine going in, man, checking everything out, happy go lucky. She went on full alert. As soon as we got in there, I had the worst feelings I ever had.
Yeah.
But I did find a tree, and you could see a rub spot on the top of the branch. And the branch was about an 8 to 12-inch round. That something was actually just sitting up there and shoved their butts off to get down. And it wasn't just once; it was several times. You could tell the way the bark was rubbed.
Right, and you know, I really do think that there's two ways that they hunt. Okay, and this is from my interactions with them. What I could tell was they learned a lot from all the indigenous people in North America and Canada. Okay, they learned a lot from us. A lot of people with the structures they're finding. Trust me when I say this, from my experiences, you can correlate any type of tree structure that they make with something that us indigenous people have made.
Yes.
You know, whether it's a teepee, whether it's a sweat lodge and a nipi, whether it's, you know, anything, you know, they will take and they will mimic those structures. And I believe that over the years of mimicking those structures, that they have these meanings of the structures, that the teepee style ones represent a family clan, okay, and that's their area, that's their home, and the size of the structure depends on how big the family clan is and how big of an alpha the alpha male is of the family. And that's the bigger the tree structure and a teepee structure, the bigger the family.
Okay? Well, my one mentor, he found a teepee structure he called the cathedral. It was that big.
Yep. And I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
When you see the branches, for this area, that's huge. Believe me.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. And, you know, and a lot of people ask me too, you know, what about the rock stacking? Well, you know, I know my family over hundreds and hundreds of years have used rock stacking to mark trails.
Right.
And we would mark trails, and one stone, we would make sure that everybody in our blood knew that one stone, where it was in that position of the stacked pile of rocks, that it was pointing in a direction where we were going. Okay. And nobody else but our family would know that. Okay.
Right.
Not even, you know, my blood cousins on the reservation that were, you know, were there, you know, we wouldn't even tell them. It would just be my immediate family, you know, my bloodline. And, you know, we would put one stone out of all of them, and we would make sure that everybody knew, you know, that, okay, the sixth stone from the bottom is pointing in the direction that Nighthawk went. Okay.
Right.
Along that lines. That's how we would do it. We would also take branches and we would pull them over and stick them under another branch of a tree to mark the directions we would go to. So, a lot of the things that we did, you know, you can use a lot of the wildlife to kind of pinpoint where you're going to have your sightings or interactions with Bigfoot. Okay.
Right.
With Sasquatch, whatever you want to call them.
Yep.
And the one thing that my father taught me and instilled in my brain was always look for the water source.
Yes.
Okay.
That's something I say
Always
all the
look
time.
for the water source, because you watch the birds. Birds are going to nest as close to water as they possibly can
Yep.
to be safe. Okay. Birds need water just as much as anything, if not more. Birds hunt in water. They drink the water. They bathe in the water. Everything that a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch family would need it to do too. So my father always said, if you want to find Bigfoot, you want to watch the signs of all the wildlife around you. So,
Yes.
and I always remembered that lesson. I really did. And
Yeah.
to
And
this
that's
day,
something I preached right along. You need your
yeah,
water source, your food source.
yeah.
But
Well, food they can always get. Food is,
yes,
food is
exactly.
so
That's why
plentiful.
water's first.
Right, exactly. I mean, red
Uh,
clover, green clover, wild onions, I mean, this stuff grows everywhere. Seeds of a pine tree,
yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of wild game and stuff, and fish and crayfish and, clams. I mean, there's all
Yep.
kinds of stuff out there, for them to eat. The
Yes.
primary thing is, if there's a good water source, I guarantee you will have some kind of a sighting or an interaction. So
Yeah.
that's just from my experience.
Um, I can't argue that at all because I always swear, if you see the water source, it could be a creek, could be a river or a
Yep.
lake.
Yep.
It don't matter. As long as you got water source, you're going to have animals.
Yep.
Every animal in this got to drink.
Yeah.
They
And
got to
think
drink.
about it. Yeah. What's gonna be going to the water source but prey animal?
Yeah,
You're gonna
exactly.
have your deer and your turkey and your fox and and your coyotes and stuff and your raccoons going to the water source because they have to drink too, and they're the
Yeah,
prey animals.
right. And you'll see the bears, you'll see mountain lions, you'll see all these things going to the water source.
Mm-hmm.
Over in Africa during the drought, all the prey animals are circling a water source.
Exactly.
It's common sense.
Yep.
Common sense.
Exactly. Yep.
Uh,
Exactly.
Linda Linda Sigmund's right. There is food in the water.
Yeah.
Uh,
Very much so.
yeah, all kind of things. You got your
Yep.
salamanders. You got uh, fish, turtles, whatever. Like she
Yep.
says. And that's the thing. Uh, who's in the other? All right, wait a minute. Paranormal Fellowship has a question. The birds in the. What is your feeling of going to a section of woods where there are never any birds or other animal sounds? No noise, no
There,
matter how long you sit there.
there's something else there.
Yes.
Because I can tell you that, and again, I'm not the expert. Okay, please. This is just from what I've learned over 60 years of living this life. Um, when you hear the forest go silent, there's an apex predator around. Okay, plain and simple. Whether
Yep.
it's a mountain lion, a grizzly bear, wolves, whatever it is. Okay, every bit of prey animal will go silent, including the crickets, which is amazing.
Yes.
Um, but
Believe me, I know.
yeah, it's been my experience though that when you don't hear anything for an extended period of time all the time in an area, then there is an apex predator there that is very, very evil. Okay. Either that or there is something with the land where wildlife doesn't feel comfortable enough to inhabit the area. Whether it's poison in the ground, poisoned water source, whether it's um, something supernatural with the Native Americans as far as burial grounds go, because a
Yeah.
lot of places, a lot of the burial grounds and cemeteries where you see a lot of us indigenous folk from over, hundreds and thousands of years, where we're buried in the mounds and stuff and in the graveyards, you won't find a lot of animals. Okay.
Right.
But you will find Bigfoot and you will find Dogman, because I'm a firm believer, like Ryan and I talked about earlier, just now in the chat, that they imprint on us, but I think they can also sense the ground of where indigenous people are buried, and they sense that vibration that the spirits are putting off from the native people that are buried into the ground. So I think that draws them in to all these and all the other cemeteries, even not even with Native American
Right.
burials.
I believe they can too. I believe they can sense the vibration of other animals and other humans.
Yeah.
I've been studying more on vibration of everything, including rocks, got vibrations. Um, so I believe they can pick up on that stuff. And there's more to the spiritual end of this too, I believe.
Well, that's the other thing too, that that a lot of people Ryan knows from talking with me for so many years, and I'm a firm believer that when you have a family unit, they're with all the thousands of years that they watched the indigenous people in the areas of where they are, and they formulated how to take care of their own family from watching that interaction, how to feed them, how to clothe them, how to house them, how to protect them. Literally every aspect of family life in a group of Sasquatch or Bigfoot or hairy man, whatever you want to call them.
Right.
They modeled it after the indigenous nations, plain and simple. I mean, that's a given, because there's so many correlations to everything that they do that we did. Okay. And some of us still do today. But yeah, there's more than meets the eye. I mean, these things are, and I hate to call them things, but the 4 different types. And I started to tell you about the southern ones, the swamp ones. And the way it was explained to me, and my father taught me, and my uncles would tell me, that the really big ones were coming down from Alaska and the Nahanni Valley area of the Yukon.
Right.
They would come down into the northwest area of Oregon, Washington, California, Idaho, that whole area out that way, and parts of Montana. And he said that they would get up to 15 to even 20 feet tall. Okay.
I couldn't fathom. I couldn't fathom.
As
After the
big
one
as
I
the one,
saw.
yeah, as big as the one I saw, I wouldn't want to see anything bigger.
No.
But that was what was told to me growing up. And anyways, they were more ape-like. They had the human features as far as 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth, but they were more, how do I want to say, ape-like in their structure of their face.
Right.
Okay. And they were huge. And they were the ones that would take and pull the trees out of the ground and put them in the ground upside down. So that's how they marked their territory.
Yes.
That's the other thing he told me. And he learned this from his days of being in the military and being stationed up in the Washington area briefly over a couple month period, at a medical hospital. And the smaller ones that we find that are in, like, say, Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, Florida, all the swamp areas of Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, all that area. Those ones came up from South America. They migrated up here. Okay. They were the ones that lived in the Amazon swamps. And we all know that if you can live in an Amazon swamp and fight off crocodiles and big snakes that are bigger than a house, you're a pretty big badass. So,
Yes.
but they migrated up here, and they're just used to having a miserable existence, so they're mean and nasty. They're smaller than the other ones. They're only usually between 6 to 8 feet tall on average. I mean, there may be bigger ones, but I've never seen them. So those are the ones that are in the swampy areas with the attitudes and all that to chase people out of the swamps and
Right.
scare everybody, you know.
Ryan said those giant ape-like ones were the, I can't pronounce the first one, but the Genosqua. Here, let me put it up.
Genosqua, yeah.
Yeah. Weren't those Genosquas, weren't they the more angry type ones, to put it lightly?
Yeah, they were pretty vicious.
Yeah.
Usually most of them are going to be vicious. You know, the Gugwe is the third type.
Right.
Okay. Now, when I was growing up, my father always taught us to call it the bear man because it had a snout. Okay. And, you know, over all the years of interacting with them, I've only seen one, and I don't want to ever see another one again. They are very, very mean, very mean. They get about 9 to 10 feet tall too, as far as the biggest ones go. And they're built just as strong as anything else you'd see out there. And they will fight anything. They don't care if it's a mountain lion, if it's a grizzly, if it's another Bigfoot, if it's a dog man. They don't care. They are just vicious.
Right.
Okay. And you know, then the last kind, my father told me, was the ones that are more human looking, that we see in the New England area, Maine, parts of Ontario, Canada, the Great Lakes regions, into Ohio and Pennsylvania, and on down into West Virginia, and, you know, almost all the way down into the southern swamps.
Right.
But basically the Appalachian Trail is what you can consider, you know, from one end to the other. That's where they're at. So along with other things.
My buddy Gary Overfield just wrote on the Facebook side. He's not on the YouTube part. He goes, I have Indians burial grounds a few miles from my house. Lots of deer around it and a lake close by. Always felt cold chills when I was close to the mound.
Yep.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. You'd be surprised how many people are sensitive enough to walk in the middle of nowhere and all of a sudden stop, and they'll be like, I can't walk any further because something's telling me not to. And then come back and do research on the area where they stopped, and they find out either there was a Native American massacre there, or there was a Native American fight or battle there, or there was some kind of bloodshed, Native American bloodshed there, whether it was a burial site, you know. Look along the Trail of Tears.
Yes.
You follow the Trail of Tears, and you're going to find out that there is so much cryptid activity along the Trail of Tears. You can't fathom it, all the way up into the Ozark Mountains. You know, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Linda Sigmund goes, Nighthawk, do you think Sasquatch and Dogman can live together? Do you think they can interbreed, or are they complete different species?
I don't think there's any possibility of them interbreeding. But then again, you know, they said, oh, well, the polar bear can't interbreed with the grizzly bear. And what do you have now? You have a grizzly and a polar bear mix. So I don't even think our best, you know, scientists, you know, and geneticists can even answer that question. I could go with the whole military thing with my background and throw out the thing about Dulce, New Mexico, and all that, and the experimentation that's going on there with genetics. But that's a whole nother
That
podcast too.
yes, it is. I was going to say that's going to be another podcast. All right,
Um,
we're up to 11 podcasts with you.
but yeah, I mean, I don't personally think that they can interbreed, but I do think they will work together. When you have an exponential amount of predator animals in a certain area, why wouldn't predators group up? Bears do it when they fish.
Yeah.
You know, grizzly bears pair up when they fish, you know, to catch fish. You know, they pair up and group up to hunt for clams too along the shores of Washington coast and Vancouver. You know, it's been proven, you know, wolves hunt in packs. So why
Yeah.
wouldn't Dogman say, you know what, you know, I can befriend a Bigfoot and, you know, work together and get their food that way? I don't think it's that far fetched. I really don't.
I've gotten reports, several of them to be exact, that coyotes run with the Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know in our area right now where we live, there's been reports of what we call devil dogs that run with them. And, you know, who knows? I mean, any kind of canine could run with them, including, you know, the dog man. So
Yep.
it's not that far fetched. My father even had an idea that that the Shunkawarikon was a dog man that just preferred to run on 4 feet. And when he got really, really ticked off, he decided to pop his joints and stand on 2 legs.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. I've seen that. You know, there's there is so many unanswered questions,
right.
but
And it seems like
Yeah.
as soon as you find an answer for one, 10 more that come up.
yes. And you know, I heard so many different stories. Bonnie Moore says, "I think I'll stay out of the woods." God bless you, Bonnie.
Oh, you know, Bonnie, what I tell everybody, Bonnie, is, and Ryan can vouch for me on this too, and everybody else that, you know, listens to me when I talk. I tell people that we have lost something. Okay, ever since the invention of the shoe. Okay,
Yes.
we have lost a connection to Mother Earth, a much needed energy that we used to have come through the bottoms of our feet every time we walked on grass or in the woods. And ever since, you know, mankind has kind of gone towards technology and pulled away from all the wildlife and the flora and the fauna, we keep on getting further and further away from the way we were supposed to be originally designed. So what I tell people to do, and David knows this, and Ryan, I tell people before they go out into the woods, okay, if they want to go for a walk in the woods or in the mountains, go camping or whatever, go camping, but go with the thought in your head and the thought in your heart that you're going to go, you're going to enjoy yourselves, you're not going to trash the woods or the forest, you're going to make sure that it's pristine and picked up, you know, just like it was before you got there. And take your shoes and your socks off before you go down that path, okay? And just curl your toes up into the Mother Earth, into the grass and into the soil, and just
ground yourself.
Make that connection.
Yeah.
You know, because these cryptids are here and they've survived so long because they have made that connection, and that connection has gotten stronger and stronger over the years of living the way they have. Whereas ours has gotten weaker and weaker and weaker the more towards technology that mankind goes. You know, mankind's forgotten too much.
Yes, very much so. And I tell everybody, my solitude is in the woods.
Yeah.
That's my solitude. And
Yep.
BJ writes to Bonnie, which Bonnie is BJ's mom. She goes, "We live in the woods." I love that. She ain't going in the woods, but she lives in it.
She's not going out of the house now.
She goes, yeah, I know that. That's why I stay inside at night.
No, don't ever feel like you can't go out and enjoy it. Just you know, I mean, if they came into our living room, how would we want them to behave?
Yes.
We would want them to take their shoes off at the door, wipe their feet at the door, take their coats off at the door, and enjoy themselves, you know, but don't make a mess, you know?
Well, if they come into my house and take their coats off, I don't want to see that skin and bones, buddy.
Well, you know what I mean. I mean,
yes, I do.
As far as, you know, it's just a thing that they've learned, you know, whenever we go into the forest and into the mountains and all that, we need to remember that we're going into their house.
Exactly.
Okay. They're the ones that live there 24/7, 365, not us. And as such, we've got to go there and let them know that we mean them no harm, and we want to do it in a good way to where we can enjoy it as a family or whatever, camping, and not be hassled.
Let me tell you about what I usually do when I go to my one research area, especially if I go by myself. I start talking to them, saying, "Hey, it's me. I'm here. You know, I'm not going to cause no problems. I just want to interact with you if possible. You know, go on in, go way down the trail to go over into the woods. There's like a briar field between the two wood lines. And I'm getting right near the end of the briar field. This one time I was going in there. And I had a lot on my mind. I didn't speak when I went in. There's no trees over here. And the loudest damn tree knock on that side I ever heard. It made me jump.
Well, you know that I'm a firm believer that they don't. The thing with me, with the ones that I interacted with growing up, and in my adulthood, I honestly don't think that they actually take branches and hit them against a tree.
You froze up, Bill. Bill, you there? Uh-oh. You there? There you are. Oh, you're coming back.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes. You froze up for a minute.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I think they want me to shut up.
Yeah.
But anyways, I don't think that they use the tree knocks like everybody thinks that they do. Because Native people, we have a respect for what we call the elementals of the forest. Okay.
Right.
And we believe everything has spirit and everything's alive. Okay. Which it is. So we wouldn't disrespect beating the side of a tree and risking to damage the tree just to make a sound, you know?
Exactly.
So what I believe is, and there's several other investigators out there too, and researchers, that we believe that they use their mouths to mimic the tree knock.
As loud as that was one hell of a mimic.
Yeah. Well, I do believe that, I mean, if you've ever heard them breathe when they're out of breath, they've got some lung capacity. Let me tell you, brother.
Yeah.
They've got some real strong lung capacity. So, I'm just under the impression that they use that a lot. Now, it could be the younger ones that are doing the tree knocks too, to call their parents or their group in to get them out of there.
Good
So,
possibility.
that could be like like an emergency type of a warning thing for the adults to come in and rescue the children. So it's
Possibility.
yeah, I mean, there's so many avenues you can take with this research that it would
Yes.
you could literally do it your whole life and still not come out with everything answered, not
Yes.
ever close. So
Virginia Cryptid and Paranormal goes echolocation, question
yeah,
marks, type, question mark. Yeah.
yeah,
I believe it is whatever or however they're doing those knock sounds. I believe it is for location. And
yeah.
can it be, hey, I'm over here, come get me, or I'm over here, where are you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and if anybody's knocked on wood, each type of tree is going to have a distinctive sound. Okay. You're not going to find any one tree that actually has the same audible sound as another unless it's the same species. Okay.
Right.
You go hit on the side of a black walnut tree, you're going to get a good loud one. You go hit on the side of an oak, you're going to get a loud one. You go hit on the side of a maple, you're going to get a soft, wet type of a sound. So that's why I think that if the sound sounds a lot similar every time you hear it, I do believe that they use their mouth to do that, and
Okay,
it could
I
be
can
an
go with that.
echolocation thing.
I can go
So-
with that. And Trina Mayer goes, I heard that powerful lung at the camp out with Jay Fouch, the Coshocton Bigfoot group's camp out.
Mhm.
I did not know about that one, Trina. I'm glad to hear that. It's the first time ever, and it blew my mind. It was so long and loud. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, my one mentor, Jamie King, the first experience they had, and it was a howl, and it vibrated the ground and the water, and it echoed through their body. Griff's out there. He goes, howdy, y'all. Nighthawk, how you feeling, my friend?
Well, I just I got the report back today that I am currently battling the cancer in my left lung and in my esophagus again. So that's pretty much where I'm at with it. I go in for an emergency endoscopy probably within the next 7 days to see just how far advanced it is. I've been having trouble swallowing food, so obviously it's advanced to a point where it must be getting pretty bad. So, and for them to want to do that so soon, we'll see what happens. I mean, I've this isn't my first rodeo, so we'll deal with it.
We get it cleared up, and it'd be the last rodeo with that crap. So people, please keep him in your prayers. One of my new followers, he's in the hospital tonight. So send out the prayers for all the sick people. But Danny Buckner, he's a great guy. He's new to researching and that. He needs prayer. I don't know why he's in the hospital, but I want prayers sent out to him too. But please keep Mr. Nighthawk in your prayers.
I appreciate that.
My buddy Gary Overpill came over. He's in remission right now too. So, and he's like a brother to me. We're the same age, and I pray for him all the time.
Yeah, the only thing with me is they have already made my stomach, my esophagus from the first cancer. So the odds on them being able to correct it through surgery is going to be pretty slim. Yeah, because they've got to be able to make an esophagus out of something that is part of me. And they just don't have anything else to use. So it's either they're gonna either blast me with more radiation to the point where I don't know my own name, or and chemo, and hope for the best, or they'll know more with the endoscopy that they're going to be doing. So it is what I tend not to really worry about it too much. When you've been through as much as I've been through, nothing surprises you anymore. So
Yeah, but we're still praying for the best outcome ever for you.
I appreciate that.
But
now I got to tell you about the third time I saw Big Brother.
yes,
I went on a vision quest, and one of my elders was with me, and I went to this, well, creek, stream, whatever you want to call it, but it was a big one. It was like a small river, and I did my Humblation and my prayers and stuff there, and I lit the pipe and did the smoke and everything, and I was thinking to myself, I didn't say it out loud, that I would like Big Brother to gift me something, for being here. And I laid tobacco on the water, and as I reached down and laid tobacco on the water, I looked down at my feet, and in between my feet was an obsidian spearhead, about 3 inches long, and it was literally obsidian, and it was all chiseled like the old style,
yeah.
And I picked it up, and I something told me to turn and look at the wood line off to my right, and I turned and looked at the wood line, and there stood the big silhouette of the big one that I saw, just standing there.
Oh
So
man.
there has to be a supernatural connection to some of this. Whether they can mind speak or mind read, whether they can tell what we're thinking before we even get to the location and make it happen, there's some kind of a connection. Maybe it's because this one imprinted upon me, and this is the one I've been interacting with the most. I don't know. I could never answer that, but it was amazing that I found that. And to this day,
Well,
I have it. I actually cleansed it, smudged it with my cedar and sweetgrass, and I have it in my medicine bag. So
when you mentioned that part of it, I've been doing the paranormal Bigfoot on a couple of conferences I was at. Actually, Bonnie caught the one. Now, this is how I put it. What I saw, I presume, is flesh and blood.
right.
Did it go down over the hill and jump through a portal? I don't know. I didn't see it do it. Does it do it? I don't know. I didn't see it do it, so I can't answer that.
Yeah.
Did it say, beam me up, Scotty? Bill Rigby's down here. Get me the hell out. I don't know. I did not see it do it.
Right.
But how do we talk about following these footprints in the snow in the middle of a field, and all of a sudden they're gone?
Right.
Where'd they go?
Exactly.
We don't, so there's more to this than we're willing to know. And
well, we as indigenous people, Bill, we have legends of them coming from the smoke of a fire. I mean,
right.
I always tell everybody, with what I've been through physically and the near-death experiences, I kind of walk in both worlds. I walk in this world and I walk in the spirit world, and I see things, orbs, shadow people, certain figures and stuff. What everybody calls the veil, I call the shadow realm, and I call it that for a reason, because the way I see it is our soul is separate from our spirit. Okay.
Right.
We have our flesh and bone, we have our spirit, and we have our soul. And I believe that our soul goes to, the creator. Okay. And our spirit goes to locations that we were comfortable with being in at the time when we were alive, kind of like residual energy. Okay.
Right.
That kind of a thing. And I think that sometimes, maybe, just maybe, what we're seeing could be residual effects in the flesh doing some of this stuff, and then they disappear,
Okay.
and
Okay.
you know what I'm trying to say. I don't know how to say
Yeah.
it to make it sound like, um
I do understand what you're saying. But the thing is,
well, think about
let's
ghost and,
get,
and baby powder. When you do a
uh,
ghost hunt and you put down baby powder, you can
yes,
literally see the
tracks.
fingerprints and all that of the spirit that's moving the object that you put around the baby powder. Okay. Which is
Yes.
an old trick. It's an old ghost hunting trick, baby powder. And if you can see a ghost imprint its fingertips or its feet,
Yeah.
on baby powder surfaces, why couldn't they do it in the snow or the mud or the grass? You know,
Yeah.
why couldn't they leave imprints just like the spirits do? So, and it's just a thought, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just putting it out there that's also a way we need to, and I tell everybody, question everything, because we need to think outside the box more
Yes.
nowadays than
Yes.
anything, you know.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. You're stealing my sayings there, William. You got to be open minded. You got to think
Yeah,
outside the box.
yeah,
Uh, everything is not Bigfoot out there. Some of
exactly.
it, and Johnny Freeman just wrote, I feel they present themselves as what we call Bigfoot, but they can present themselves as other things, Johnny, on this, or is that just the spiritual side of it? Uh,
Yeah, the see, I'm a firm believer too, though, that they have learned so much from us as indigenous people that they even have their own holy men and holy women. I firmly am a firm believer in that they have their own ceremonies. I believe, that they have their own um, way of doing things, supernaturally speaking, through
right,
ceremonies and whatnot. Um, there's so many ways that they have learned from the indigenous cultures being around the area, that how could they not have that, if they know how to model after our teepees and they know how to model after our sweat lodge, and our wigwams and our adobes and all that, and our longhouses, why not the rest of it? Why not watch us from the shadows when we do ceremony, when we do Humblacia vision quests, when we do
uh,
Inipi sweat lodges? Why
that's
not watch us do that and learn over the thousands of years that they have been here? I mean,
right.
who's to say that they can't? They're not just some dumb ape, you know?
No, no, they're not. And my buddy, uh, Ernie DeVoe's out here. He's another First Nation. Um, and his experiences are very, very good. He talked to me that in depth many times about it. I
Hmm.
on the phone and in person, the whole 9 yards.
Yep.
And he has a lot of similar views that you do with this too. Um, hello, Grizzly Chris. And Trina wrote, I was out last weekend hiking, and it's amazing when you're looking the things you find. I found a single huge barefoot, very deep impression and wondered where are the rest? Where what did it where did it go?
Mhm.
Exactly. And like I said, I presume mine was flesh and blood.
Yeah. Well, why can't it be both though, Bill?
Yes, and
You
that's
know,
where I was
there,
going next. I was going next.
there's no reason. There's no reason in the world
Uh,
why it can't be. I mean, you're talking to somebody here, First Nation, that has done the dark arts of the Native American medicine path. Okay,
right.
most of my life, I've done that. I've done curses and hexes on sacred lands to keep people that are not native out of them.
Yeah.
You know, I've done all kinds of that. I've even done the walker ceremonies. You know,
Right.
it's I've given the flesh offerings. I've given literally flesh and blood off of my own body, sacrificed it to do ceremony. And if I can do that and walk in both worlds, why can't Bigfoot be flesh and blood and also supernatural at the same time?
Right.
It just for us
Yeah.
to limit it would be ridiculous. Now there are old tricks that
Brother,
we
I'm
use.
telling you, we think a lot alike on this
There,
aspect.
there are old
Uh,
ways and tricks
yeah.
of taking pole pines and wiping away the tracks. There are ways that we would go up trees and stay on the trees, tops of
Yep.
trees, and go about 50 yards, and then come back down in another area to make it look like we disappeared.
Yes.
There's so many different things. It could be okay, but we just cannot limit the fact that even though they are flesh and blood, that they cannot have the ability to be connected with Mother Earth in such a way and learn from the indigenous nations all around them on how to do supernatural events, how to do
Yeah.
supernatural ceremonies. Okay.
Well, paranormal fellowship goes. Is it possible that maybe your ancestors modeled after them instead of the other way around?
It's very well possible. It very well could be possible. Um,
Uh,
it's
yeah.
very well possible that could
Yeah.
be, but all I'm going off of is what I was told growing up, and I don't think. See, there's an old story. The Bigfoot coming down into Washington, in the northwest area. Years ago, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, the native people there used to put on well, picture like a Native American Olympics. Okay,
Right.
they would have wrestling matches. Okay, and there were groups of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, that would come down off of the mountains into the native villages for these games. Okay, this was at a time when the native people understood the language of the Sasquatch. Okay,
Okay.
this was at a time when their young warriors and our young warriors would have wrestling matches to see who was better. Okay, and sometimes we won, sometimes they won.
Right.
Probably more of the time they won, to tell you the truth, but
Yeah.
that goes without saying. But you know the way the legend goes is one year they came down from the mountains and they had a young Sasquatch and a young warrior that had a wrestling match, and the Sasquatch accidentally killed the young brave. And even though all the native people knew it was just an innocent accident and they weren't mad, they were just, they were sad, but they weren't
Right.
mad. And they told Sasquatch that, through sign language and through verbally. The Sasquatch retreated back up into the mountains and never came down again. Ever since they got the taste of killing a human being, that group of Sasquatch never came down again off of that mountain to participate in those games. And from that day on, the native people lost the language of the Sasquatch, of knowing it, and the sign language.
Right. Well, with Ernie, my buddy Ernie, when he was hunting, he could see the palms of their hands as they were sign languaging to him.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I believe they do that.
Yeah.
But it's 8:21 now. We can go on for hours and hours. Yeah.
We can save it for another night too, though, Bill.
Yes.
It's up to you.
Yes.
But we'll have to do a Dogman episode too.
Oh God, you're going to drive me nuts with that one. I did take a Dogman report, not even a mile from my house.
Yeah.
So that was kind of freaky. It's like, oh no. But
give it to Ryan in the chat. He's always looking for something to do.
Oh yeah, we'll give it to him. We'll definitely give it to him. But we definitely going to hopefully next month get you back on.
Right.
If everything works out.
I'm kind of stubborn. I'm not going to let the cancer win. So I'm kind of stubborn that way.
Well, so, I don't want to interfere with things that you got going on either. Yeah, but I want to get you in here as soon as I can because I want to keep this going. I really do. And you're a wealth of information. And Ryan didn't lie about that. Plus, we think a lot alike, and you put grin on my face a lot tonight. It's like, yeah, he thinks this is the way I think. And you got so much more information that we need to get from you and to share with the people. Yeah, and I do
just
appreciate
remember,
having you on.
If I don't make it through this next cancer battle, just get your EVP devices out and start asking me questions, and I'll just answer them from the other side.
Oh my God!
And I mean that. I mean that too, though.
I know you do. It was kind of funny. Over a year ago, I was life flighted, and I did a Facebook Live as I being life flighted, so I could see out the damn window because there was no room in those life flight helicopters.
Right.
So I'm doing Facebook Live, seeing where we're flying, and everyone's going, "What the hell is going on with Bill? Bill's on a life flight. Why is he doing it live? What's going on?" Well, I wanted to see out the window, so I told everyone, after I was in the hospital and that,
right,
I'll be all right. It's just I'll be fine. But if I do die, I'll be doing a live from the other side to talk to you. So, but that was kind of. I still get
I always joke around with everybody in my chat and stuff in the podcast that I have about me being stronger on the other side. So,
yeah.
But
it is definitely.
I'm
definitely going to get you on, even if it's from the other side. I'll get you back on here.
All right, Bill.
But hey, thank you, and everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and we will get it, Mr. Nighthawk, back here. Believe me, in a heartbeat.
Thank you, everybody.
And we'll be talking to you soon. Hang back a little bit, Bill.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in to the Agents of the Unexplained. Please visit our website at agentsoftheunexplained.net for unique paranormal merchandise like t-shirts, books, and coffee mugs. join our Facebook group, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more thrilling content. Until next time, keep questioning the unexplainable.